In the vast subcontinent of India, where the fertile plains of the Ganges meet the towering peaks of the Himalayas, there lies one of the richest mythological traditions in human history. Ancient Indian mythology is not merely a collection of tales. It is a living framework that has shaped philosophy, religion, art, and daily life for thousands of years. To understand India's myths is to step into a world where gods walk among mortals, where cosmic battles between good and evil echo across the heavens, and where stories are never just stories, they are eternal truths, woven into the cycle of creation and destruction. At the heart of Indian mythology stands the concept of dharma, the moral order that governs the universe. Unlike the myths of Greece or Mesopotamia, which often focused on the exploits of individual gods or kings, Indian mythology presents a vision of the cosmos itself as a great rhythm, an endless cycle of creation, preservation, and dissolution. The gods are not simply rulers of human fate. They are manifestations of universal forces, guiding the balance between chaos and harmony. The origins of this vast mythological system can be traced back over 3 millennia, to the sacred hymns of the Rig Veda. These ancient verses, recited by priests during fire rituals, celebrated the power of elemental gods: Agni, the god of fire, who carried offerings to the heavens; Indra, the thunder-wielding warrior, protector of men and destroyer of demons; Varuna, the guardian of cosmic law, who watched over the waters and the stars. These gods were not distant abstractions but living presences, invoked through fire, song, and sacrifice. Every flicker of flame, every rumble of thunder, every rushing river was seen as their voice, their breath, their divine action upon the world. But Indian mythology did not stop at nature gods. Over centuries, it evolved into an immense and layered system of epics and Puranas, tales that explained not only the origin of the universe, but also the deepest questions of human life. Why are we born? What is our purpose? How can we transcend suffering? To answer these, stories became parables, and heroes became ideals. The myths of India carried not only entertainment but profound spiritual philosophy. And so begins our journey into the myths of gods and demons, of cosmic oceans and mountain palaces, of battles fought not only with weapons but with wisdom. A journey into the timeless stories of ancient India. In the beginning, before gods or men, before mountains or rivers, there was only the cosmic ocean, an endless expanse of primordial waters, dark and immeasurable. From this eternal ocean arose the seeds of creation, and within its depths lay the mysteries of existence itself. Indian mythology tells us that the universe does not emerge only once, but again and again, through cycles that stretch beyond the imagination. Each cycle begins with chaos, followed by creation, and eventually, dissolution into the ocean once more. One of the most powerful myths that illustrates this eternal rhythm is the tale of the Samudra Manthan, the churning of the ocean of milk. It is not merely a story, but a grand cosmic allegory, symbolizing the struggle between good and evil, gods and demons, light and darkness. It teaches us that creation itself is born from conflict, that from the depths of chaos arises nectar, wisdom, and the promise of immortality. The story begins with the Devas, the gods, weakened and vulnerable after being cursed. Their eternal rivals, the Asuras, the demons, had grown stronger, threatening to tip the balance of the cosmos. Desperate, the Devas turned to Lord Vishnu, the preserver of the universe. Vishnu advised them to seek a truce with the demons and propose a joint endeavor to churn the cosmic ocean and extract from its depths the Amrita, the nectar of immortality. The Devas and Asuras agreed, for both sought the nectar that would secure their power forever. But to churn an ocean was no simple task. For the churning rod, they chose the mighty mountain Mandara, and as the rope, they used the colossal serpent Vasiki, king of all serpents. The Devas pulled on one side of the serpent, the Asuras on the other, while the mountain was balanced on the back of Kurm, the giant tortoise, an avatar of Vishnu himself. And so, the churning began. The ocean trembled, waves surged, and from its depths emerged wonders beyond imagination. Celestial treasures, divine beings, the goddess of wealth Lakshmi, radiant with beauty, and at last, the long-sought nectar of immortality. Yet, before the nectar appeared, there also arose the Hala Hala, a deadly poison so powerful it threatened to destroy the cosmos itself. The gods, terrified, cried out for help. It was Lord Shiva, the great destroyer, who stepped forth. He drank the poison to save creation, and though it did not kill him, it turned his throat blue, earning him the name Nilkant, the blue-throated one. The myth of the churning of the ocean is not only a tale of gods and demons, it is a mirror of human life. It tells us that in the pursuit of wisdom, of greatness, of immortality itself, we must churn through hardship, confront poison, and endure suffering. Only through patience and struggle can we reach the nectar hidden in the depths of existence. When the universe first emerged from the waters of chaos, it was still incomplete, an endless expanse of raw potential awaiting form, order, and balance. The gods of India knew that creation could not sustain itself without guardians, without divine forces that would maintain the eternal cycles of existence. Thus, from the primordial essence of the cosmos, there arose the Trimurti, the three great manifestations of divinity who together hold the universe in balance: Brahma the creator, Vishnu the preserver, and Shiva the destroyer. The story of their origins is as vast as the universe itself. At the dawn of creation, a golden cosmic egg known as the Hiranyagarbha floated upon the waters. From this egg burst forth radiant light, and within it was born Brahma, the god of creation. With four heads facing the four directions, Brahma spoke the first sacred words, the Vedas, eternal hymns of knowledge, and from sound he shaped the universe. With his mind, he conceived the heavens and the earth. With his hands, he drew forth mountains, rivers, forests, and oceans. Time itself began to flow from his thoughts, and beings both mortal and divine sprang forth from his imagination. Yet, creation alone was not enough. The universe required preservation, a force that would ensure order, harmony, and the continuity of life. This power manifested as Vishnu, the great preserver, who rests upon the serpent Shisha, floating on the cosmic ocean. Vishnu embodies compassion, balance, and justice. Whenever darkness rises, whenever chaos threatens to consume the world, it is Vishnu who descends in various forms, his avatars, to restore Dharma, the eternal law. His presence is like the beating heart of the universe, steady and eternal. But the cycle of existence is incomplete without dissolution. For what is created must one day return to the source, so that creation may begin anew. That power, fierce and transcendent, is Shiva, the destroyer. He is not destruction in the sense of chaos, but the sacred force of transformation. With his third eye blazing with divine fire, Shiva burns away illusion, ego, and decay. He dances the cosmic dance, the Tandava, which symbolizes the rhythm of creation and destruction, the heartbeat of the cosmos itself. In his role as ascetic and yogi, Shiva represents the withdrawal from illusion, guiding the soul toward liberation. Together, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva form the Trimurti, the cycle of birth, preservation, and dissolution. They are not three separate gods, but three faces of the same eternal truth. Brahma sets the stage by shaping the world, Vishnu sustains it with love and justice, and Shiva clears the path for renewal by dissolving what has grown stagnant. Without one, the others cannot exist. Without destruction, there can be no new creation. Without preservation, existence would collapse into chaos. The Trimurti is balance itself, the eternal law of cycles that govern both the cosmos and the human soul. This divine trinity reminds us that our lives, too, follow the same rhythm. We are born, we live, and eventually, we must leave this world. Yet every ending is only the beginning of another story, another journey, another birth. In this way, the Trimurti teaches us that existence is not linear but cyclical, an endless dance of beginnings and endings within the vastness of eternity. In the heart of eternity, where silence meets the infinite pulse of the universe, there is a rhythm that never ceases. It is the sound of creation and dissolution, of worlds being born and collapsing, of galaxies swirling in endless spirals. This rhythm, the cosmic heartbeat, is embodied in the dance of Lord Shiva, the great destroyer and transformer, whose eternal movements symbolize the essence of existence itself. This dance is called the Tandava, the dance of the cosmos. Shiva is not only the destroyer but also the one who makes way for new creation. In his divine dance, he represents the cycle of life, the eternal balance between birth, growth, decay, and renewal. The Tandava is not chaos. It is order hidden within what seems like chaos. Every gesture, every movement, every step of Shiva resonates with profound cosmic meaning. Imagine the great stage of the universe, the heavens filled with stars, the earth trembling with energy, and the ocean waves rising to meet the skies. At the center of it all stands Shiva, his matted hair flowing like rivers of time, his third eye blazing with infinite wisdom, and in his hands the instruments of cosmic balance. In one hand he holds the damaru, the sacred drum whose beats mark the rhythm of creation. With every strike of the drum, new worlds arise, new forms emerge, and new lives are born. In another hand, he holds the fire of destruction, the flame that consumes illusion, ignorance, and everything that no longer serves existence. With this fire, he clears the path for transformation. One of his hands is raised in the gesture of blessing, Abhyamudra, signifying protection and fearlessness for all living beings. In another, his palm faces downward, symbolizing liberation, release from the endless cycle of birth and death. Around his neck coils the serpent, symbol of timeless energy, while the crescent moon upon his brow reminds us of the cycles of time and rebirth. The river Ganga flows from his hair, carrying the essence of life down to the earth. Every aspect of his being is a living symbol of cosmic truth. As Shiva dances, the universe itself dances with him. Stars explode into being, black holes devour light, galaxies collide and merge into new forms. The Tandava is both destruction and creation at once. It is the paradox of existence. Without destruction, there can be no renewal. Without endings, beginnings cannot take root. Shiva's dance reveals to us that what we often fear, change, loss, and death, is not an ending at all but a transformation, a sacred passage into something greater. In Indian tradition, Shiva is also called Natraja, the lord of the dance. His image as Natraja depicts him encircled by a ring of fire, the flames of cosmic energy, as he dances upon the demon of ignorance, Apasmara. This dance symbolizes the triumph of wisdom over darkness, truth over illusion. The demon beneath his feet represents forgetfulness, ignorance, and the tendency of the human mind to remain bound to the material world. By subduing this demon, Shiva shows that liberation is possible, that the soul can rise beyond illusion and merge with the divine. The Tandava is not merely a dance of gods, it is a dance that occurs within each of us. Every heartbeat, every breath, every change in our lives reflects the same rhythm. When we face struggles, endings, or losses, we are witnessing the destruction of old forms. When we find love, growth, or renewal, we are witnessing creation. In truth, we are all participants in Shiva's eternal dance. And so, as Shiva's feet strike the ground of eternity, the entire cosmos resonates with the sound. It is the sound of the drum, the blaze of the fire, the rhythm of birth and death, the silence after dissolution, and the new dawn that follows. It is the reminder that nothing truly ends, but everything transforms. Shiva's Tandava is not the destruction of life. It is the liberation of life into its highest truth. In the heart of the sacred land of Vrindavan, under the silver glow of the moon and amidst the whispering groves of Kadamba trees, a melody once filled the night that was unlike any other sound the world had ever known. It was the sound of Krishna's flute, a song of divine love, calling not only to the ears of men and women but to the very soul of creation itself. This melody did not simply entertain, it awakened. It stirred something ancient, eternal, and boundless within every living being. Krishna, the eighth avatar of Vishnu, was not only the protector of Dharma but also the embodiment of divine joy, compassion, and love. His form was radiant, his skin described as the deep blue of stormy clouds, his eyes like lotus petals, his smile carrying the sweetness of eternity. But what made him irresistible was not only his beauty, it was the music of his flute. With every note, he spoke a language beyond words, a language that connected the finite to the infinite, the earthly to the divine. The stories tell us that when Krishna played his flute, the cows in the pastures stopped grazing, their ears lifted toward the sound, their bodies stilled in quiet devotion. Birds ceased their flight and perched silently on branches, enchanted by the melody. The Yamuna River, flowing nearby, slowed its current as if reluctant to move, wishing to listen longer. Even the trees bent their branches closer, offering their leaves like silent hands reaching out to catch the divine sound. The entire forest became alive with a holy stillness, suspended in the eternal vibration of Krishna's song. But it was not only nature that responded. The people of Vrindavan, especially the gopis, the cowherd maidens, felt the call of Krishna's flute deep within their souls. When he played at night, they left their homes, forgetting their chores, their duties, even their families. Drawn by an irresistible longing, they rushed into the moonlit forest, guided only by the sound that pulled at their hearts like gravity. To outsiders, this might appear as madness, but to the gopis, it was liberation, the call of the divine beloved. In their devotion, they embodied the highest form of love, pure, unconditional surrender to God. The most famous of these gopis was Radha, whose love for Krishna transcended time, duty, and even identity. When Radha heard the flute, she felt as though her very soul had been set ablaze. Her heart beat only for him, her eyes searched only for him, and her being existed only in his presence. Theirs was not merely human love but a symbol of the eternal bond between the individual soul and the divine. In every embrace, every glance, every silent exchange, Radha and Krishna showed that true love is not possession, but union, where the self dissolves and only the divine remains. The Rasa Lila, the dance of divine love, began with Krishna's flute. On that enchanted night, under the shining moon, the gopis gathered in the forest. Suddenly, Krishna appeared among them, his form glowing with supernatural radiance. With a smile, he multiplied himself into countless forms, so that each maiden felt as though Krishna danced with her alone. The circle of the dance stretched endlessly, yet each gopi felt she was at its center, held in the gaze of the divine beloved. This dance was not about romance as humans understand it. It was about something far greater, the soul's longing for God, the ecstasy of divine union. The gopis forgot themselves, forgot the world, and became pure vessels of devotion. In their dance, the boundaries between human and divine, mortal and eternal, dissolved. The forest became the stage of eternity, the moon the witness, and Krishna the axis around which creation itself revolved. The flute, therefore, is not merely an instrument, it is a symbol. It represents the human heart, hollow and empty until the breath of the divine fills it with meaning. When Krishna plays the flute, he shows us that the soul must become empty of ego, desire, and fear in order to vibrate with the music of God. The sound that emerges is the song of love, a reminder that the divine calls to us at every moment. The story of Krishna and his flute continues to inspire millions around the world. To hear it, even in imagination, is to feel that longing awaken within us, the longing for truth, beauty, and eternal love. It is the same love that binds the stars together, that makes flowers bloom, that carries rivers to the sea. And so, the story of Krishna's flute is not just about the past. It is about now. It is about every moment when the soul hears its true calling and begins its dance toward the eternal beloved. In the fertile land of Vrindavan, where green pastures stretched endlessly and the air was heavy with the fragrance of blooming jasmine, a story unfolded that revealed not only Krishna's divinity but also his boundless compassion for those who placed their trust in him. This is the tale of Govardhan Hill, a story that reminds humanity of humility, devotion, and the power of divine protection. Every year, the villagers of Vrindavan performed a great festival in honor of Indra, the king of the heavens and lord of rain. They believed that by offering sacrifices to Indra, he would bless their land with rain, ensuring fertile fields, rich harvests, and abundance for their cattle. Pomp, ceremony, and ritual filled the village as people prepared elaborate offerings, decorating altars with flowers, fruits, and the finest of their produce. But young Krishna, with his eternal wisdom hidden behind the innocent smile of a child, questioned this tradition. He asked, "Why do we worship Indra? Is it not the cows that give us milk, the earth that provides grain, and the Govardhan hill that offers grass, herbs, and shelter? Should we not show gratitude to the land we walk upon, to the mountain that nourishes us, and to the cows who sustain our lives? The villagers were struck by his words. With his divine charm, Krishna convinced them to redirect their offerings, not to Indra, but to Govardhan hill, the living embodiment of the land that gave them sustenance. That day, instead of the traditional sacrifices, the people celebrated the hill itself. They prepared a grand feast, adorned Govardhan with garlands of flowers, and circled around it in joyful procession. Music filled the air, drums and flutes blended with laughter, and the people felt, perhaps for the first time, a deep connection to the land and to Krishna's wisdom. But Indra, high above in his celestial palace, watched with growing fury. His pride wounded, he could not bear the thought of mortals ignoring him. "How dare these simple villagers deny me my honor?" he thundered. His rage boiled like storm clouds, and in his arrogance, he decided to punish them. He summoned the Samvartaka, a devastating storm cloud, and unleashed torrential rains upon Vrindavan. The sky darkened, lightning split the heavens, and thunder roared like a wrathful drum. Sheets of rain poured down, flooding fields, drowning crops, and threatening to sweep away cattle and people alike. Panic spread through the village. The people huddled together, terrified as the waters rose higher. Their cries reached Krishna, who stood calm amidst the chaos, his flute set aside, his eyes filled with compassion. "Do not fear," he said gently. "Trust in me." Then, before their astonished eyes, Krishna walked to Govardhan hill, placed his delicate hand beneath its base, and with effortless grace, lifted the entire mountain high above his head. The villagers gasped, unable to believe their eyes. The massive hill, heavy with trees, rocks, and soil, now rested upon the little finger of Krishna's left hand as lightly as a child might hold a toy. "Come," he said, his voice steady and soothing, "take shelter beneath Govardhan." One by one, the villagers gathered beneath the vast canopy of the lifted hill. The cows, the children, the elders, and all the people of Vrindavan stood together under Krishna's protection. The torrential rain continued to fall, but it no longer touched them. Safe beneath the mountain, they felt a warmth and security that no storm could shake. For 7 days and 7 nights, Krishna held the mountain aloft, his arm unwavering, his smile radiant, his presence a pillar of reassurance. The villagers gazed at him with awe. They brought food and offerings, not because he needed them, but because their hearts overflowed with gratitude. Even the gods looked down in wonder, for Krishna, in his childlike form, displayed a power that transcended the arrogance of Indra. At last, Indra's fury subsided. He realized that his pride had blinded him, and that Krishna was no mere child but the supreme divinity himself. Descending to earth, Indra bowed before Krishna, asking forgiveness. Krishna, with infinite kindness, forgave him, reminding him that power must always be tempered with humility, and that the true purpose of the gods is to serve creation, not to demand its worship. The story of Govardhan is remembered as one of Krishna's greatest acts of love. It teaches that faith in the divine can shield us from even the fiercest storms. It reminds us that true strength does not come from pride or domination, but from service, humility, and compassion. To this day, devotees celebrate Govardhan Puja, circling the sacred hill, offering food, and remembering the time when a young boy, with a flute and a smile, became the shelter of the world. The Yamuna River, lifeblood of Vrindavan, once flowed with crystal clarity. Its waters sparkled in the sunlight, nourishing fields, quenching the thirst of cattle, and providing joy to the children who played on its banks. But in those days, a shadow fell upon the sacred river. Deep within its depths lurked a fearsome serpent named Kaliya, whose venom was so potent that it poisoned the waters, choked the air, and struck terror into the hearts of the villagers. Kaliya had chosen this part of the Yamuna as his home, coiling himself upon the riverbed, releasing venom so deadly that no creature dared to approach. The once lively banks fell silent. The grass turned brown, birds refused to fly near, and the fish died in great numbers. The people of Vrindavan knew that to even touch the water was to risk death. The Yamuna, once a source of life, had become a river of dread. The children, however, in their innocence, sometimes wandered too close. And among them was Krishna, who never feared darkness, for he carried within himself the eternal light. One day, as his friends played ball near the riverbank, the ball rolled into the poisonous waters. Without hesitation, Krishna leapt into the Yamuna, his laughter ringing like music, even as the villagers cried out in horror. Beneath the darkened surface, Kaliya stirred. The serpent's eyes glowed like embers in the gloom, his hissing echoed through the water, and his coils spread like shadows. When he saw Krishna, he lunged with open jaws, his fangs glistening with venom. But Krishna met his fury with grace. He dodged, he danced, his movements flowing like the river itself. With every strike of Kaliya, Krishna's play seemed effortless, a dance of light against venomous darkness. On the riverbank, the people of Vrindavan gathered in anguish. Mothers wept, fearing they would never see Krishna again. The cowherd boys clung to one another, their joy turned to terror. Even the elders stood powerless, watching as the waters churned and frothed, hiding the battle below. Only Balrama, Krishna's brother, stood calm, for he knew that no shadow could extinguish Krishna's light. Then, in a moment that has echoed through the ages, Krishna emerged from the waters. But he did not rise alone. With divine radiance, he leapt upon Kaliya's massive hood, pressing it down with the lightness of a dancer's step. Again and again, Krishna leapt from one hood to another, his feet pounding like celestial drums. Each step weakened the serpent, forcing the venom out of his heart, breaking his pride, and cleansing the river of his poison. The sight was breathtaking. The villagers, who moments before had trembled in despair, now gazed in awe. They saw Krishna, radiant as the rising sun, dancing upon the heads of the monstrous serpent, his movements both playful and divine. The river itself seemed to rejoice, its poisoned currents beginning to clear. Birds returned, and the air filled with their song, as if nature itself was celebrating Krishna's victory. At last, Kaliya, broken and humbled, surrendered. His wives, the Nagas, appeared, their hands folded in reverence. With trembling voices, they begged Krishna for mercy. And Krishna, whose heart was as boundless as the universe, spared the serpent's life. He commanded Kaliya to leave the Yamuna and never return, to go instead to the distant ocean where he would no longer harm the innocent. Kaliya bowed his great hood, acknowledging the divine will. With one final gaze at Krishna, part fear, part reverence, he slipped into the depths and vanished. The waters of the Yamuna cleared, sparkling once more beneath the sun, purified by Krishna's presence. The people of Vrindavan rushed to Krishna, their tears of fear now transformed into tears of joy. Mothers embraced him, children danced around him, and songs of praise rose from every heart. They had witnessed not just a miracle, but the revelation of Krishna's true nature. Though he played among them as a child, he was also the protector of worlds, the conqueror of darkness, the one who turned poison into purity. The tale of Kaliya is remembered not only as a victory over evil but as a lesson of transformation. Even the most venomous hearts, when touched by the divine, can be cleansed and renewed. And just as Krishna restored the Yamuna, he restores all those who turn to him with faith, replacing fear with hope and darkness with eternal light. The camera slowly zooms in on the countertop, where the ball of dough now rests, plump and round, wrapped in a thin veil of flour. Hours have passed since its creation, and the once coarse, sticky mixture has transformed into something alive. Its surface seems to breathe, rising and falling almost imperceptibly, like the chest of a sleeping creature. This is the magic of yeast, an invisible army of microorganisms, working silently, converting sugar into carbon dioxide and alcohol, pushing against the gluten strands, expanding the dough from within. The light in the kitchen softens. It's late evening now, and the golden rays of the sun fade into a bluish twilight. The dough, illuminated by a single hanging lamp above the table, seems almost otherworldly. There is a faint shimmer across its skin, a delicate sheen of moisture that catches the light like tiny crystals. As the narrator speaks, we sense not just the biology of fermentation but its mystery, the feeling that something far greater is at work, something that connects the baker's hands to ancient traditions, to generations who, long before science explained yeast, spoke of bread as a gift of gods. The voice grows more meditative. This is not simply dough. It is a vessel of memory. Each bubble that swells inside is a record of transformation, of patience rewarded. To witness dough rise is to witness the poetry of time itself. Slowly, the camera circles the dough, capturing close-up details. A crack forming on the surface as the pressure builds, a sudden puff of air escaping, the texture stretching and glistening. The soundtrack is minimal, just the faint hum of the night outside, a clock ticking in the distance, the slow exhale of air from the fermenting mass. Then, something subtle shifts. The dough, in this moment, appears to glow. Not literally, but in the imagination of the viewer. The lamp above seems brighter, the flour particles floating in the air catch the light like stars, and the rounded form of the dough takes on the presence of a celestial body. It is as if we are no longer looking at something in a kitchen, but at a moon resting on a wooden planet, radiating silent energy. The voice continues. In every civilization, bread has been sacred. Egyptians left loaves in tombs to accompany the dead into the afterlife. In Greece, bread was offered to Demeter, goddess of the harvest. In medieval Europe, a table without bread was no true meal. And here, in this quiet kitchen, that same reverence lingers. The rising dough is a reminder that even in our modern lives, filled with haste and noise, there remains space for slowness, for ritual, for wonder. The scene lingers long, hypnotic, almost like a meditation. The viewer is drawn deeper into the mystery of something so simple, yet so profound. The scene opens with the oven door, heavy and ancient in its presence, creaking as it opens. Inside, a burst of heat radiates outward, shimmering in the air like a mirage. The camera lingers on the glowing interior, iron racks warmed to a dull red, shadows flickering on the oven walls, a chamber that feels more like a forge than a kitchen appliance. This is where transformation will reach its climax, where dough, alive and fragile, will meet the element that has both nurtured and terrified humanity since the dawn of time: fire. The camera cuts to the baker's hands. With delicate movements, he lifts the dough, now shaped into a smooth, rounded loaf, its skin taut with the tension of fermentation. The surface has been scored with a blade, thin deliberate cuts like veins, pathways for steam to escape, patterns that will become its identity. Every culture leaves its mark on bread. The French slash long baguettes, Italians cross rustic loaves, while ancient bakers carved symbols meant to ward off evil spirits or honor their gods. In these markings lies not just functionality but artistry, a dialogue between human intention and elemental chaos. The narrator's voice softens, becoming almost reverent. As the dough enters the oven, it ceases to be dough. Heat penetrates its flesh, killing the yeast, halting the invisible work that gave it life. The gases trapped inside expand violently, pushing the crust outward, creating the final surge of growth known as oven spring. In minutes, its fragile body transforms into bread, a metamorphosis born in fire. Close-up shots capture the loaf as it is placed on the stone slab inside the oven. Steam rises instantly, a veil of vapor that blurs the lens like a mystical curtain. The crust begins to form, first pale and tender, then gradually deepening into hues of amber and bronze. The camera moves in so close that we can almost hear the microscopic crackling, the expansion of bubbles, the stretching of proteins. The viewer is no longer simply watching food bake. They are witnessing an alchemy, as if flour, water, salt, and fire were elements of a cosmic recipe. The sound design swells with intensity, the roar of the fire mingling with the faint hiss of escaping steam, a crescendo of transformation. Shadows dance across the oven walls, and the glow reflects on the baker's face, which appears both human and mythic, like a priest presiding over a sacred ritual. The voice continues, weighty with significance. Fire has always been the heart of human civilization. Around it we told our first stories, shared our first meals, and built our first homes. It is destructive, but it is also the source of warmth, safety, and nourishment. In this moment, as bread begins to bake, we are not only feeding our bodies, we are feeding the memory of humanity itself. The loaf in the oven is more than sustenance. It is culture, survival, and faith made tangible. The camera holds still on the loaf as its skin splits, revealing deep golden valleys, ridges forming like mountain landscapes under heat. It is alive with sound, the subtle crackling that bakers call the song of bread. The viewer is drawn in, mesmerized, realizing that they are watching not just cooking but a timeless dialogue between humanity and fire. As the loaf bakes in the fiery embrace of the oven, the kitchen begins to transform. The once quiet space now vibrates with the invisible energy of aroma. The first wafts of baking bread escape the oven, curling through the air like golden tendrils of smoke, carrying with them a promise that touches every sense. It is a scent both simple and profound: yeast, caramelizing sugars, the faint nuttiness of toasted flour, all combined in a harmony that awakens memory itself. The camera follows the path of the scent as it drifts across the kitchen. It fills every corner, rising toward the ceiling, slipping beneath doors, sneaking into the street outside. Even those who do not see the oven feel the pull of this invisible perfume. Dogs perk their ears, children pause mid-play, elders inhale deeply, transported by recollections of hearths long gone. Bread has always been more than food. It is an invisible bridge between generations, a connection between the mundane and the sacred. The narrator's voice takes on a contemplative, almost poetic cadence. There is magic in aroma. It bypasses reason and enters directly into the heart. Before the loaf is touched, before a slice is cut, it already nourishes the soul. Each inhalation reminds us of the continuity of life, of hands that kneaded dough centuries ago, of kitchens that burned with warmth and love, of stories whispered over supper tables. The smell of baking bread is a language older than words, spoken fluently by those who understand the rhythm of life. Close-up shots reveal the crust developing, darkening to shades of bronze and mahogany. Tiny blisters form on its surface, pockets of steam escaping, shimmering in the oven light. The bread seems alive, each crack a heartbeat, each rising ridge a pulse. The camera pans slowly, capturing the beauty of simple creation, the delicate perfection of natural transformation under human care. Outside, the village senses the change. Windows open as neighbors catch the scent drifting from the bakery. Children rush to doors, curious and excited, while adults pause their chores, drawn by the invisible lure. Bread, in this moment, is more than sustenance. It is a communal event, a ritual of anticipation and celebration. The scent alone carries stories, traditions, and emotions across time and space, weaving an invisible thread between souls. The narration deepens. To witness bread baking is to witness the intersection of science and art, patience and intention. It is a daily miracle, one that humans have honored across cultures and ages. The aroma is the herald of transformation, a signal that time, heat, and care have done their work. It is a reminder that even the simplest acts, when performed with reverence, become sacred. And here, in this humble kitchen, we are participants in a story that began thousands of years ago, a story of survival, creativity, and connection, all embodied in a single loaf of bread. Time has passed, measured in minutes that stretch like hours in the quiet anticipation of the kitchen. The loaf has transformed, and now the crust has reached its final state, a golden, caramelized armor encasing the tender interior. The camera slowly pans across the surface, capturing every ridge, every small crack, every shimmering spot where moisture has bubbled and hardened. Light dances along the contours, highlighting textures that speak of alchemy, patience, and meticulous human care. The narrator's voice deepens, carrying weight and reverence. The crust is more than a barrier. It is the storyteller of this loaf, a testament to the passage from raw to cooked, from potential to fulfillment. Each bubble, each split, each shade of amber carries the memory of flour, water, salt, and fire. In its creation, we witness the subtle negotiation between chaos and order. Heat rises, moisture seeks escape, and the dough responds, stretching, swelling, surrendering until the perfect balance is achieved. Close-up shots reveal the crust's irregularities, areas darker, kissed by the oven's heat, areas lighter, tender and fragile. Steam escapes intermittently, hissing softly, releasing the last traces of trapped energy. The camera lingers on the loaf as if it were a living entity, breathing softly in its golden shell. The narration continues with philosophical depth. Bread is one of humanity's oldest companions, a silent witness to our triumphs and tragedies. It has sustained armies and explorers, comforted the grieving, celebrated joyous occasions, and marked the sacred rituals of countless cultures. And here, in this moment, we are reminded that even in simplicity, there is profound complexity. The crust that forms before our eyes is a tangible intersection of time, nature, and human intention. It is the crown of creation, humble yet majestic, nourishing yet symbolic. The camera slowly pulls back, showing the oven in full view. Light spills onto the kitchen, illuminating flour-dusted counters, wooden spoons, and jars of ingredients. The loaf, now perfectly baked, dominates the scene, a monument to the quiet power of transformation. The aroma, though invisible, seems almost tangible, wrapping the viewer in warmth, nostalgia, and wonder. In this golden crust, the narrator concludes, we see the story of civilization itself. Every meal shared, every hand extended, every moment of gratitude, encased, like this loaf, in a fragile yet enduring shell. Bread reminds us that even the most ordinary acts, done with care and intention, become extraordinary. It nourishes not only the body but the mind, the heart, and the spirit. The loaf rests now, cooling slightly, yet still radiating warmth and the rich aroma that has filled the kitchen and crept into every corner of the house. The moment has arrived, the first slice. The camera focuses on the baker's hands as they lift a sharp, serrated knife, poised above the golden crust. The tension is palpable. The loaf, full of potential energy from its recent transformation, seems almost sacred, a tangible symbol of patience, care, and human ingenuity. The voiceover carries a sense of reverence and wonder. Slicing bread is a sacred act, a ceremony that bridges creation and consumption. The knife meets the crust with a soft, satisfying crunch, yielding under the tension of heat and density. The blade moves through the tender interior, revealing a network of air pockets, a lattice of life trapped within the flour and water. Each bubble is a story of fermentation, each strand a testament to the unseen work of yeast, time, and patience. The loaf speaks to us, silently narrating the journey from grain to table, from potential to fulfillment. Close-up shots show the crumb, soft, elastic, and inviting. The light catches the tiny glimmers of moisture, the slightly glossy surfaces of air pockets, the delicate strands connecting them. The camera slowly pans across the slice, emphasizing its texture, its warmth, its perfect imperfection. This is not just bread. It is a narrative frozen in time, a symbol of human ingenuity and the power of elemental forces harnessed with care. The narrator continues, reflecting on human history. Since the dawn of civilization, bread has been central to human survival. From ancient ovens in Mesopotamia to the stone hearths of early Europe, every slice carries the essence of our ancestors' labor and creativity. This loaf, humble as it may seem, is a continuation of that legacy. It embodies the transformation of basic elements into something extraordinary, something that nourishes body, mind, and soul. To break bread is to connect with history, to honor the efforts of countless generations who have turned raw ingredients into sustenance and art. The camera shifts to the baker lifting the slice, steam rising gently from the cut. Light spills over the crumb, revealing its delicate texture and warmth. The aroma intensifies, almost tangible, drawing invisible threads between the loaf and every human who has ever experienced the joy of fresh bread. And in that first slice, the narrator concludes, we find a reflection of life itself, carefully crafted, patiently nurtured, and full of promise. The golden crust protects a tender heart, just as our experiences shape and guard the essence of who we are. Bread, in its simplest form, is a mirror of civilization, a product of nature and nurture, fire and water, skill and devotion. The loaf now rests fully baked and sliced, its aroma lingering in the air like a soft, invisible mist. The camera captures a family gathered around the wooden table, hands reaching for the warm slices. The light catches the golden crust, reflecting a sense of warmth, comfort, and home. This is the moment when bread transcends sustenance. It becomes a medium of connection, a vessel carrying love, history, and shared experience. The narrator's voice is rich and contemplative. Sharing bread is one of humanity's oldest rituals, a timeless gesture that signifies trust, companionship, and care. Across cultures and continents, the simple act of passing a slice to another person has carried profound meaning. It is both literal and symbolic nourishment, binding individuals together in a moment of communion. As we take a piece of bread, we partake not only of its flavor and texture, but also of the countless hands, hearts, and minds that contributed to its creation. The camera follows each hand as it lifts a slice, the warm crumb yielding slightly under gentle pressure. Faces light up with anticipation, smiles spreading like sunlight across the table. The narrator continues. Every loaf tells a story. It is a story of patience and transformation, of fire and water, of elements combined with intention and skill. When shared, it becomes part of our personal stories too. We remember the hands that kneaded the dough, the heat that shaped it, the aroma that filled the room, and the moment it finally touched our lips. Bread is memory made tangible, a celebration of human creativity and resilience. Close-up shots reveal the textures of each slice, the golden crust, the soft, airy interior, the steam rising gently from the warm loaf. The camera slowly pans across the table, capturing the family's reactions, laughter, conversation, and quiet reflection. The scene emphasizes that food, in its essence, is an expression of care, a tangible manifestation of love and effort. The narrator reflects further. In this shared meal, we see civilization itself. Bread has accompanied humanity through triumphs and trials, wars and peace, feasts and famines. It is more than nourishment, it is connection, ritual, and memory. Each slice passed from hand to hand carries with it an unspoken promise, a recognition that we are part of something greater, a continuum of life and culture stretching back millennia. And so, as we break bread together, we honor that legacy, celebrate our present, and embrace the bonds that unite us. The camera finally zooms out, capturing the entire scene, the warm light, the smiles, the shared slices, and the lingering aroma that seems almost tangible. The loaf, now partly eaten, remains a symbol of transformation, sustenance, and community, a testament to the enduring power of simple acts performed with care. And in this act of sharing, we are reminded that the simplest things often carry the deepest significance. Bread, baked with patience and intention, becomes more than food. It becomes a story, a memory, a bridge connecting hearts across time and space.